friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Stacy. Now today's video is going to be a pretty large book haul. Now if you've been following me for a bit, you'll know that I'm pretty behind in filming my videos. So the books that I'm going to show you today, I basically purchased them either in the month of May, June, or July. Now, if I counted correctly, I have 65 books to show you. Because I have so many of them, I can't go into a lot of detail about them, but I'll try and do my best and give you a short little description on what they're about. But you will probably hear quite often through this video that I either just don't remember what they're about, or I don't know. I just picked them up on a whim and I thought I'd just give them a try. Okay, so anyways, I have this stack to show you. I have not one, not two, not three, but 4 book outlet boxes to show you. And oh my god, these books are heavy. But I also have not one, but 2 Chapters Indigo boxes to show you as well. Ooh, it's so heavy. Okay, and this first stack that I'm going to show you, I actually got from a library book sale. It was actually my first time I've ever attended anything like this, so it was all new to me. But when I got there, I was actually pretty shocked to find out that they didn't have any set prices for books. It's just basically you pick up what you want and you pay what you want, which can be pretty dangerous for a book lover. And the first book I had to show you is called Blue Christmas, and this one is by Mary Kay Andrews. Now, I've never read anything by her before, but I know she's a very well-known author. And like I said in my intro, I'm not going to remember what all these books are about, and this one is a perfect example of that. I just basically picked it up because it was Christmas themed, and I thought I would start early collecting books that I wanted to read around Christmas time. And the next book I had to show you is called The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. And in this book we follow our main character Harold, who receives a letter one day from a woman he hasn't seen in a very long time, and in this letter it states that she's dying. Now Harold decides that he's going to reply back to this woman, and in the process of mailing this letter, he's convinced that he actually should deliver it in person. And he walks, I believe, 600 miles to see this woman. So this book is just basically about his journey getting to her. And the next book I have is Beartown, and this is by Frederick Bachman. Now the reason I decided to pick this one up, besides all the wonderful reviews I've heard on it, is the very first chapter. I'm going to read it to you because somebody had it posted on Instagram, and when I read it I'm like, oh, that sounds so interesting. Anyways, it says, late one evening toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, and pulled the trigger. This is the story of how we got there. Yeah, so somebody just had that little piece posted on Instagram, and I'm like, whoa, what book is that? And the next book I picked up is called And the Mountains Echoed. And I simply picked this one up because of the author. I had heard so many great reviews. They also wrote The Kite Runner as well as 1,000 Splendid Suns. And this book takes place in Afghanistan. And we follow a brother and sister who are very close until one day they are separated. Many years later, they are actually reunited, and it's just basically their stories of what happened to each other while they were separated and just them coming together. Okay, and next I have The Creeps. So this is one of those books that I had seen somebody else talk about it on BookTube, so when I saw it at the library sale, I thought I'd pick it up. But it wasn't until I got home that I realized that this is actually book 2. Obviously, I don't have book 1. I didn't realize that until, like I said, till I got home. I don't want to read the description without knowing what book 1 is about. So the next 2 books I decided to pick up are by the same author, and that is The Wedding Christmas. How about The Christmas Wedding? And Sam's Letters to Jennifer. And these are both by James Patterson. Now I picked these 2 books up just because of who the author is. I'm a huge fan of James Patterson. Now James Patterson's novels are typically like mystery, thriller, detective kind of stories, but he has written some love stories. One of the other books that I had read by him that is a love story that I absolutely adored was Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas. If you get a chance, definitely pick that one up, give it a try. I highly recommend it. I'm kind of hoping that this one is kind of going to be the same. I'm not too sure about The Christmas Wedding. I checked out some reviews on Goodreads and it's not very good, so I don't know. I'll see what I think, I guess. And the next book I have to show you is called White Tiger. And again, this is one of those books I have no idea what it's about. I had picked it up just simply because I had heard a lot of great reviews on it. I think it even won some awards. As soon as I hear books won awards, then that automatically makes me want to pick it up. And the next stack of books I have to show you, I had actually purchased from my local Goodwill store. And they just happened to be having a sale where everything was 50% off. So every time I hear about that deal, I always go in and try and find as many books as I can. So anyways, I have 8 books here. And I believe I only paid $8, so that's only $1 each, and can't say no to that. So the first 2 I have to show you are actually part of a trilogy. When I had picked them up, I actually thought they were book 1 and 2, but they turned out to be book 1 and 3. So it's a bit of an issue. So I guess I'm going to have to try and find book 2 somewhere. So anyways, the first one is The Madman's Daughter. And the second one is A Cold Legacy. Now when I got home and I looked this up on Goodreads, it actually had it described as being Gothic suspense, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of a book described like that before. And in this book, Juliet's father is accused of gruesomely experimenting on animals. And then one day she finds out that he's still alive and that he's living on this remote island. Juliet decides that she wants to find out if these accusations are true, so she goes looking for her dad. And when she does find him, she learns that he's actually insane. So she makes it her mission to try and put an end to these experiments. And the next book I have is called Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. I don't know anything about this book. I just picked it up simply because it was Colleen Hoover. I've yet to read any of her books, but I'm still trying to get around to it. So whenever I see one, I always pick it up. But I heard you either love her writing or you hate her writing. I'm really hoping that I love her writing since I've picked up so many of her books just recently. And the next book I picked up is called Remember Me by Sophie Kinsella. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So in this book we follow our main character Lexi, who has been involved in a car accident. And then one day she wakes up in the hospital to discover she's actually lost 3 years of her memory. Okay, and then I picked up The Problem with Forever. And I absolutely love this cover. I think it's beautiful. I just love all the colors in there. It's been 4 years since Mallory's nightmare has ended. What her nightmare is, we don't know yet. Mallory has been homeschooled for several years, but decides that she wants to spend her senior year at a public high school. And on her very first day back, she runs into a friend by the name of Ryder, who she hasn't seen since childhood. This book is described as being about friendship, survival, and finding your voice. And the next 2 books I have here are, again, by the same author, and that is Dreamland and The Truth About Forever by Sarah Dessen. Now, I haven't read any books by Sarah Dessen either. I've heard a lot of people talk about them, so I thought I'd pick them up, give them a try. And these books are YA contemporary romance. And the next book I have is called Local Girl Missing. Anyways, this is about a local girl, obviously based on the title. So basically it's about a local girl who goes missing, and 20 years after she's disappeared, her best friend comes back and just tries to figure out what happened to her and where she went. And it does say here on the front, someone knows where she is. So next we will start on the 4 boxes from Book Outlet. So the first one here I have to show you is actually a box set, and it's the Selection Series. I believe that's what it's called. Let's just take one out here so that you know what I'm talking about. So the box set that I got has 4 books in it, but if I remember correctly, there's actually 5 in the series, so I'm going to have to try and find that 5th book somewhere else. So I was told if you were a fan of the Bachelor/Bachelorette, which I am, it's my guilty pleasure. But anyways, if you're a fan of that show, that you'll definitely like this series. So as soon as I heard that, I'm like, gotta pick it up. So the next books I have to show you are also part of a series. So I have book 1 and 2, as well as book 3 of The School of Good and Evil. I still have them in the box, I haven't taken them out, and there's book 3. So this is another set of books that I, again, don't really know too much about, but it just heard so many people talk about them on BookTube and how much they liked them, so I thought, what the heck, I'll try them and maybe I'll like them too. Okay, so the next one I have is called The Perfect Girl. Oops. So this book is the same author that wrote What She Knew. Again, this is a mystery thriller. But anyways, we follow Zoe. Zoe's been serving time for a tragic accident that has killed 3 of her classmates. And shortly after she's released, her mother ends up dead. And the question is whether or not Zoe has anything to do with it or whether or not she's innocent. Okay, and the next book I have to show you is called Autobiography. Beautiful cover. And I picked this book up because it's actually part of my birthday reading project. If you're not familiar with that, I will leave a link to the video somewhere up top there. So anyways, I've read this book already and I absolutely loved it. Heartwarming. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And in this book we follow our main character, Tanner, who is bisexual and has just recently moved from California to Utah, which has kind of forced him back into the closet. So Tanner only has 1 year left of high school, and then from there he can move out of Utah and be a little bit more open about his sexuality. In his last year of high school, he takes this class where it's basically you write a book in only 4 months. But in this classroom, he actually starts to fall for the teacher's aide. If you haven't read this book yet, I highly recommend you pick it up and give it a try. Okay, and the next book I have to show you, I have actually been waiting for Book Outlet to have it. Waiting such a long time. I honestly didn't think it was ever going to come in stock. And I didn't want to get it from Chapters because it was like close to $30 Canadian. And in my opinion, that's just way too much for a book. I simply can't afford that. But anyways, it's The Darker Shade of Magic. I would have preferred the regular edition just simply because it would match the other 2 books I have in the series, but it is what it is. I'm not going to worry about it too much. But the collector's edition is actually pretty neat. There's the cover. And then the end pages I thought were kind of cool. And then the one thing I like is the little ribbon bookmark. And in my opinion, I think every book should have that, but I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay, so on to box number 2. Okay, so the next one I have is called Fear the Worst. And this is a thriller mystery. And I'm just going to read the inside because this is basically what caught my attention. Your daughter doesn't come home one night from her summer job. You go there looking for her. No one's seen her. But it's worse than that. No one's ever seen her. So where has she been going every day and where is she now? Yes, perfect. Right up my alley. Perfect. And the next book I have, I also bought for my birthday reading project, and that is The Librarian of Auschwitz. I've heard a lot of great reviews on this as well. Based on the experiences of real-life Auschwitz prisoner Dita, this is the incredible story of a girl who risked her life to keep the magic of books alive during the Holocaust. I've actually been really interested in reading books about the Holocaust, so I figured this would be perfect for me. Okay, and the next book I have is Renegades. And this is quite the chunker of a book. 552 pages. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one because I'm pretty sure we've all heard about it by now. Okay, and the next one I picked up is Eeny Meeny. So this is a mystery thriller, and it is the first book in the series. I don't know how many's in the series. Two people are abducted, imprisoned, and left with a gun. As hunger and thirst set in, only one walks away alive. It's a game more twisted than any Detective Inspector Helen Grace has ever seen. If she hadn't spoken with the shattered survivors herself, she almost wouldn't believe it. The next book I have is also another book for my birthday reading project, and that is The 13th Tale. Reclusive author Vida Winter, famous for her collection of 12 enchanting stories, has spent the last 6 decades penning a series of alternative lives for herself. Now old and ailing, she is ready to reveal the truth about her extraordinary existence and the violent and tragic past she has kept secret for so long. I mean, if that doesn't get you interested, I don't know what will. Okay, and the next one I have is actually the last one for this box, and it's called Burial Rites. I don't know a lot about this book either, but I do know that it follows a woman who has been charged with the murder of 2 men. She's actually been moved to an isolated island with a family where she waits her execution. Upon this family spending time with this woman, I believe they actually question whether or not she's guilty of what she's being charged for. Okay, so now we're on to box number 3. We're getting there. Okay, and the next one I have is called Paper Angels. And I picked this one up again because it was a Christmas book. And in the past years, I've seen a movie on TV around Christmas, and it's called Paper Angels. So I'm kind of hoping that this book is the same as the movie. I don't know if it is, but we'll see. I tried to get a description about the book, but there's nothing written on here, so I don't know what it's about. Okay, and then I have a disclaimer. It says here, when a mysterious novel appears at Catherine's bedside, she is curious. She has no idea who might have sent her The Perfect Stranger, or how it ended up on her nightstand. At first she is intrigued by the suspenseful story that unfolds, and then she realizes this isn't fiction. And this story is actually about her. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious. And the next book I picked up, I got it simply because of who the author is. And the name of the book is Britt Marie Was Here. And this one is by Frederick Bachman. And the next book I have is called The Breakdown. And this is by B.A. Paris. I decided to pick this one up because I had read her other book, Behind Closed Doors. And I really liked that one. So kind of hoping I'm going to like this one too. So in this book we follow our main character Cass, who is driving home one night and she passes this vehicle that's pulled over alongside of the road. Cass decides not to stop, but as she's passing by she sees that there's a woman sitting in there. Later we find out that the woman in this vehicle actually was found dead. So Cass is having a hard time. She's feeling kind of guilty for not stopping and she can't seem to get it out of her mind. But since Cass has seen this woman, she seems to be forgetting a lot of things. She's forgetting to take her pills. She's forgetting where she's parked her car. She can't even remember her alarm code. And then Cass starts to get these silent phone calls, and she's getting the feeling that somebody's watching her. Sorry if my lighting and my setup looks just a little bit different. My battery died on my camera, so by the time I went back and I charged it, brought it back, I couldn't get the setup the same, so yeah, here we are then. Okay, so next I have A Yellow Raft in Blue Water. Hopefully you can see the cover on that okay. Okay, and this book is about 3 generations of Indian women beset by hardships and torn by angry secrets, yet joined by the bonds of kinship. Now, I have read this book already, and I really did enjoy it. Okay, so the next one I have here I picked up just basically because so many other booktubers had talked so highly of it, and that is called The Rest of Us Just Live Here, and that's by Patrick Ness. I haven't read any books by him, so this will be my first one. Okay, so next I have Brother, and this book is about a family of serial killers. Now, I heard people describe it as being dark and disturbing, as well as, and these aren't my words, but coming from others, that it's fucked up. So that description right there, when people, describe it as being dark and disturbing, it definitely catches my attention every single time. And the next book I have here, I picked up because Books and Lala talked about it on her channel, and we seem to have similar taste in books, so I thought I'd try it. But anyways, it's called Before We Met. So in this book, Hannah has married Mark after only knowing him for a few months. And then one day he fails to return home from a business trip. Now when Hannah talks to his co-workers, these co-workers actually have no idea about this business trip. And then Hannah suddenly finds that her bank account has been emptied. I definitely think it sounds really intriguing, really interesting, and I'm actually quite eager to pick this one up. Okay, and next I have a book by the name of Choker. And in this book we follow Kara, who has become a bit of a loner since her best friend Zoe has moved away. And then one day Zoe comes back, and she's kind of on the run from her problems. Kara says that she'll hide her and kind of protect her, but since Zoe's been back, all these bad things have been happening. Now, this is another book that people have described as being dark and disturbing, so yes, definitely right up my alley. Okay, so now we're on to the last box from Book Outlet. Okay, and I picked up another book by Colleen Hoover, and that is Confess. I'm really hoping I'm going to like her books because I got quite a few of them now. I mean, the smart thing would be to at least read one first and see, but nobody said I was smart. Okay, and next I picked up Things I'm Seeing Without You. And I'm really loving this cover. It's beautiful. So this book is about Tess and her learning about the suicide of a very close friend. And it's just basically her learning to cope and deal with the death of this friend. Okay, and next is another book with a beautiful cover, and it's called A Tragic Kind of Wonderful. And if I remember correctly, this book deals with mental illness, and more specifically, it deals with bipolar disorder. Okay, so this next book I'm going to show you, I actually haven't heard anybody talk about it on BookTube, but I found it on Book Outlet, and I thought the description sounded pretty interesting. So anyways, it's called How to Be Brave. So this book is about a very shy and awkward girl by the name of Georgia, and she's lost her mother. So the way she decides to deal with the death of her mother is to go out and do all the things that she was too shy and afraid to do. I definitely think it sounds very inspiring, and I love how she's turned a positive into a negative. Okay, and next I have When We Collided by Emery Lord. And I don't know how many times I did that take before I realized that her name is not Emily. I realized I kept saying Emily, not Emery. So this book is another one that deals with mental illness, and if I remember correctly, it does have a little bit of romance in it as well. Okay, next I have Good Me, Bad Me. And in this book we follow Millie, and her mother is a serial killer. Then one day Millie decides she's going to do the right thing, and she's going to turn her mother into the police. She does that, and she ends up having to move in with a foster family. Now, things don't really go so well with this foster family. She's not really getting along with her foster sister. So Millie's past actually starts to haunt her, and she begins to question whether or not she might have some of the same bad habits as her mom. And we're finally on to the last book from Book Outlet. And the book is called The Nowhere Girls. And this one is by Amy Reed. Before I start with the description of the book, I do want to state that there are trigger warnings for rape in this book. So this book is about 3 girls who create a group after a gang rape committed by a group of male students at their local high school. And it's basically about these girls standing up to these male students. Before I forget, I want to show you the spine on this book too, because I thought it was gorgeous. There it is there. Love it. Okay, so now I'm on to the boxes from chapters. Okay, and the first one I have here is called The Chalk Man. Okay, so in this book we follow a group of young boys who have created their own secret way of communicating with each other. And they do this by little drawings that they do on the ground with chalk. And it's just their way of communicating with each other without actually having to talk to the other person and without anybody else knowing what these little drawings mean. But then one day these drawings actually take them to a murdered body. Now I have read this book already and I really did enjoy it. So the next one I actually got for I think a fairly good price. Chapters has this section where it's bargain books, so a lot of the books are discounted. Well, all of the books are discounted. But I was able to get this one for $6 and it's a hardback. And it's called A World Without You. And you can see I got it for $6. So anyways, this is another book that deals with mental illness. And I believe more specifically it deals with a teenage boy who's having delusions. I'm actually really happy I had picked this book up. Since getting it, I have found out that a close family member of mine has been admitted to the hospital for having delusions, so she is suffering from a mental illness. And I just thought this would be a better way for me to understand her situation and what's going on. Okay, and next I have The Dutch Wife. So the only thing I really know about this book is that it's historical fiction, and I believe it takes place during the Holocaust. Now, I've been really interested in reading books about the Holocaust, so I figured this would be a perfect read for me. Okay, so the next book I have to show you, you're going to be shocked that I haven't read this yet. I'm pretty sure I'm the only person on the planet who hasn't, but that's okay. I'm getting to it. Anyways, it's called Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and I'm sure you all know what that cover looks like, so I don't need to show you, but yeah, I'm really hoping to read this soon because I really want to see the movie Love, Simon. Okay, so the next book I picked up, I again picked up because of all the hype on BookTube, and that is called The Night Film, and this book is actually quite heavy, but it's another one that I got from the bargain, I don't know, you want to call it bargain bin at Chapters. So I got it for $5. And this is another book that's, oh, I'll show you the end pages first here. I thought that's pretty cool. But this is another book that is told a little bit in a different format. It's told, I believe, through different emails and websites. I guess different case files. Let's see if I can show you some here. So there's that. I'm sure you guys have all seen this before. I don't know why. No, I don't know why I'm showing it. Just got distracted here. Not to be a spoiler or anything, but it says, "Whoever you are, you shouldn't be here. Get out." Okay, so next I have The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Picked this one up for my birthday reading project. I have read it already, and it's definitely a very different and unique book. I'm hoping to post a video soon on all the books I've read probably in the last few months. I can't remember the last time I did a wrap-up, so yeah, I got a lot of books to talk about, so yeah, hopefully that'll be posted soon. Okay, so the next one I picked up is called The Home for Unwanted Girls. And I had actually picked this one up because I was taking part in, what the heck was it called? Oh, Read-A-thon. And it was about just reading books by Canadian authors. which this person is. So this book takes place in 1953, and we follow our main character, Maggie, who at the age of 15 has become pregnant. Now her parents don't want her to keep this baby, so she's actually forced to give it up for adoption. But fast forward several years later, where this child is grown up, Maggie decides she wants to set out and try and find the child that she had given up for adoption. And I accidentally bumped my camera, so if again the shot is different than before, that's why. So the next book I have to show you I also got from the bargain bin at... Bargain bin sounds so weird. I don't know what you want to call it though. The discounted section? I don't know. Anyways, that's where I got it from Chapters, and the sticker on here says $8, but it was actually discounted even more, so I got it for $4, and it's a hardback, and it's called Keep You Close. And this is actually by the same author of the book I showed you earlier. Oh crap, what's it called? Yes, Before We Meet. So it says here, when the artist Mary Ann falls to her death, everyone insists it was a tragic accident. But Rowan Winter, once her closest friend, knows better. And I believe it's, Rowan has made it his mission to actually find out what really happened to her. Okay, the next book I have to show you I also got for $4 as well. It's also a hardback, and it's called The Lost Girls, and this is by Heather Young. I mean, you really can't go wrong for paying $4 for a hardback. In the summer of 1935, a 6-year-old girl goes missing by the name of Emily. 60 years later, the only person left living in this house where Emily went missing is her oldest sister, Lucy. Now, before dying, Lucy decides that she's going to write a letter to her grandniece, basically telling the story of what happened the summer that her youngest sister went missing. Definitely sounds intriguing. I gotta know what happened to the younger sister, and yeah, just what happened to her. Okay, so we're finally on to the last box. We're getting there, people. Okay, so the next one I have to show you is actually a graphic novel, and it's called Through the Woods. And this is actually a graphic novel that has 5 short stories in it, and they're all considered to be thriller/horror stories. Now I have read this one already too, and other people said that reading it they were really scared. I have to disagree with that. I did find the stories to be creepy, but by no means did they scare me. Anyways, without the dust jacket on, it's just as beautiful underneath. And I'll just show you a few of the graphics in here so you get an idea for what it's like. I definitely think they did an amazing job with the colors that they used for these graphics. Okay, and next I have A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. And I'm going to tell you something shocking, so are you sitting down for this? Okay. I have never read a Sarah J. Maas book in my life. But my plans for 2019 are to read, well, hopefully it's not too ambitious, but I'm going to try and read all of her books. Okay, and next I have Children of Blood and Bone. And I really don't need to describe this one because I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about it. Just like everybody probably knows what it looks like without the dust jacket on. But, you know, as a book lover, you gotta show off your books, right? And that's the inside. Okay, and next I have Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. And back in October, I had actually just finished reading my first Neil Gaiman book. I read the Graveyard book. Absolutely loved it. So I'm quite eager to pick up another book by him as well. Okay, and the next one I picked up is called Seven Fallen Feathers. And it just says here, from 2000 to 2011, 7 Indigenous high school students die in Thunder Bay, Ontario. They were hundreds of kilometers away from their families, forced to leave home because there is no adequate high school on their reserves. 5 were found dead in the rivers surrounding Lake Superior, below a sacred Indigenous site. So the reason I decided to pick this book up is, for one thing, it took place in, I mean, it's a true story, it's nonfiction. but it took place in Ontario, and that's where I'm from. It also deals with the Indigenous people and how they were mistreated by the Canadians, a topic that I am definitely not very familiar with, that I would really like to educate myself on, and I think there's a lot of important issues that a lot of Canadians should be made aware of. Okay, and next I have one heck of a chunker of a book. I mean, this book's huge. Why did these authors do this to me? They scare me. Anyways, I have War Storm, and this book is huge. 662 pages, huge. Oh, and these end covers are beautiful, so I can kind of forgive it, I guess. Okay, so this is actually book 4 in the series. I have book 1 and 2. For some odd reason, I don't have book 3, but I guess we'll have to work on that and get the 3rd book so I can get this series read. Okay, so now we're going to go from a chunker of a book to a tiny, tiny little book. And that is I've Been Meaning to Tell You. So this book is just basically about a father who writes a letter to his teenage daughter, and in this letter he explains his experiences as well as his parents' experiences dealing with racism. Okay, so we're on to the last book, guys. We finally made it. So anyways, and I didn't get it from Chapters. I can tell by the sticker that it's actually from Walmart, so I don't know how I got mixed in with the ones from Chapters. But anyways, it's called Jar of Hearts. So basically the only thing I know about this book is, 1, that it's a thriller, and number 2, I believe it has something to do with a missing person. Now I had seen this at Walmart, didn't pick it up, but then I came home and I checked out the reviews on Goodreads, and at the time it had absolutely amazing reviews, so I ran back to Walmart and I picked it up, so I'm hoping to get to it soon. So anyways, that's all I have to show you today. That's all 65 books. If you made it this far in the video, you know what, gold star to you guys. Little do you know that it is actually taking me 4 times. Yes, 4 times to film this video, and that's simply because I had issues with the lighting, I had issues with my camera, I had issues with the battery dying, you name it, I had problems with it. But anyways, 4 times, I'm not doing it again, although I said that last time I filmed, but this time I'm definitely not doing it again. You can only talk about the same book so many times. I just feel like I'm a broken record. And again, if you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for sticking with me, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. Also, let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you think there are any of these books that I should read like pronto, just let me know in the comments below. If you liked my video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!